Buonasera a tutti e a tutte, benvenuti e benvenute a questo talk, a questa conversazione con Sojung Jun. L'abbiamo organizzata in concomitanza con la mostra K-Now, Korean Video Art Today, che è aperto un mese e mezzo fa. E potete ancora visitarla fino a metà luglio se non avete avuto occasione. E Sojung è una delle artiste che abbiamo invitato per la mostra, autrice dell'opera che vedete alle nostre spalle. La conversazione sarà in inglese, quindi tra un attimo cambio lingua, però voi in una parte finale, la nostra durerà più o meno 40 minuti e poi in una parte finale siete molto benvenuti e benvenuti a porre delle domande anche in italiano che io volentieri tradurrò all'artista. So I switch to English. Sojung, thank you so much for being here. You traveled all the way from Seoul to Lugano to do this conversation with us. So thank you. I'm very honored to be here with you. And maybe I would start by introducing your practice a little bit at large, and then we can start to talk together, to do the conversation. Sojung Jun was born in Busan, which is a city in the very south of the peninsula of South Korea, but now she's based in Seoul. Her practice spans video installation, writing, sound, and sculpture. And she often works with non-linear conception of time and space, opening up alternative ways of perceiving the present, we could say. Her projects frequently begin with an attentive listening phase. She listens to personal stories that then gets more collective resonance in her works. And often she gives voice to narratives that have remained at the margins of modernity. She explores themes such as transnational identity, diaspora, migratory labor, and enduring legacies of history. She has had a lot of exhibitions, solo and group exhibition. I will mention only few of many. Maybe the most recent ones at the showroom in London last year, the Museum of Contemporary Art in Antwerp, Arco Art Center, National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art of Korea, but also at Kunstmuseum Bern a few years ago. And Palais de Tokyo, she was included in the Gwangju Biennial a couple of times. And yes, so today, this evening, we are going to talk mostly about the work that we have here, about green screen. It's the only work that it's not in the exhibition space itself. It's here in the common area of the cultural center. Maybe we will come back maybe to that theme, to the fact that it's in a common space. But when we were preparing together a little bit the structure of the talk, we thought that maybe the best way to begin is to show you 5 minutes of the video with the sound, because sound is also a central part of the work, and so it could be easier then to follow the concepts that we will discuss afterwards. So I have so many questions.
Please.
We were having lunch together today, and I was like holding the questions to not spoil the answers before this talk. But maybe I would begin with asking you, I was just saying when I was presenting you that this listening phase is so important, and that every work of your starts with that phase. So how was it for green screen? Which stories brought you here to create this work? And maybe also, can you share more about the location, the landscape, where everything was recorded, and how was the experience of being there?
Okay. To begin with, I appreciate all your effort to make such a great exhibition, and then thanks for all the team at the Museo. I arrived last night about 1 a.m. here, and then it was totally dark. I couldn't see anything, but in the morning when I see the scenery, I'm really shocked. Oh my God, I really wanted to stay longer here because I only stayed for 2 days here. And I really envy you guys who's living here. And then when I arrived here, with Francesca, we talk about how this green screen resonated with the scenery of the Lugano here, and also the green of the marbles in the Museo. Yeah. Well, as you can see, it's full of green, and it's a place where the border of the between the South and North Korea. It's as the human's access is limited and restricted for a long time. It's really well preserved the environment. Yeah. In the beginning, this project was invited to produce for the kind of huge screen signboard in the Circa project, which is based in London. That is kind of inviting the artist to produce the video pieces to present in a Piccadilly Circus in a huge signboard in the middle of the commercial stuff. So then I really wanted to bring such a huge screen toward the center of the city. That was the beginning of this project. And yeah, as you might imagine, it's totally limited and restricted to access. So for several months, I made a research about this area. Only the people who's making a research about environment, a green group, can access. Yeah, for several years, they follow how the plants developed or changed under the climate changes. So I follow them. Yeah.
Sorry, just to give more context, we are talking about the DMZ, the so-called DMZ, that is the demilitarized zone between the two Koreas. So Sojung was saying it's like this strip of land that is large like the entire country and wide few kilometers.
2 kilometers each from the border.
And it's not accessible since the armistice. So 60, 70 years.
About 70 years. Yeah, right.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to give some context for maybe you're not so familiar with this. It's a very famous, very symbolic place.
Yeah, recently many people go for tour as well.
Yeah.
Yes, and also I've interviewed some neighbors who's living near that area. So how they feel, and then or about how their fears. And also I made a research about the birds.
Oh.
Yeah, what is flying from Siberia to DMZ to take care of themselves during the winter.
So you have contact with the people from this natural biological research. So you also had some conversation with the research group of them, or
Right. That's I can like limitedly can access.
okay.
Yeah. So what I've surprised and impressed was not really about that image visual stuff, more about like density of the air or kind of like smells of the soil or even the smells of the plants. The kind of like energy of the environment was like incredibly intense there. It's still that the place where is the realist of that divisions and then full of the military stuff. Yeah.
Because it's also not accessible for safety reasons. Is it I think there are also mines.
Yeah,
that,
sure.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a military area.
So but could you live there, or did you travel from Seoul to the DMZ?
No one couldn't live there.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, because I remember that there were some one village in particular, because I did the tour, of course, when I went there. I was one of those tourists going to the DMZ as a tourist. And I remember they brought us to a village that was maybe at the border
At
of
the border.
DMZ.
Yeah, not in the DMZ, next
Okay.
to the DMZ. Yeah, there are several like villages. Yeah.
So you were also there filming
Yeah.
the
Right.
nature, but at the border. I see.
Yeah.
And it was a commission from Circa.
Right.
So that's the
beginning.
start of the work. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Circa, maybe you're familiar with this project. It's really a huge screen in Piccadilly Circus. So without sound, of course, in the middle of a lot of other signs, luminous signs. And you showed this work also at the Lyon Museum, the Samsung Museum in Seoul, and it was also installed in the lobby in a kind of similar situation like the one that we have here. So it was meant to be in a public place, right?
Right.
And what was different for you? Because I think that's a little bit a special situation. How did you include this part while thinking about the work?
Yes. Well, I would say it's made for the kind of like signboard or the media, which is located in like public spaces, so people can stay or can pass through. But the people can perceive there's a scenery. But the scenery, once they perceive, they became to know there's another like history, different layers of the time. So yeah, they can access in a different level. So I really enjoy to use that screen as a kind of like apparatus to make people think about that the time or that the space, and also which is the main things in the video media.
I'm very interested in that part because, of course, also in the exhibition, one of our goals was to show to the public the different ways that video can be experienced in an art space and differentiating it from other contexts of video, like the one of cinema or the more domestic way that you experience video. And that brings me also to ask you about the visual part before we start to talk about the sound, that it's a whole word in that work. But when I watched it so many times, and every time that I watch it again, I see new details. But maybe one of the first impression that you have as a viewer is that it's quite a static way of working with video, because the landscape, you bring it through static images or very slow camera movements, and it keeps you in this contemplative status as a viewer, I think. So can you elaborate a little bit more about those aesthetic and formal decisions that you made for the video?
Yes, in the beginning, to be honest, it's because of the practical vision.
Okay.
There are several military stuff, so the movement of the camera was also very restricted. But the other ways, the way of that movement, it's because of my emotion in that spaces. Because when I've been there, I feel like it's almost just still stopped. So to me, it's more like a photograph than the videos. But as you can see, only the birds, which make the traces, that make this work video.
Yeah.
That was quite actively function to me. So that's why I made this video like that, and also wanted to make more rooms to people think about. Yeah.
Like the time that I have stopped in this strip of land that is untouchable. And that brings me, we are just right now in that moment of the bird flying, the crane. And what about the glitches and the distortions of the image? Because of course you have this idyllic landscape, but then it's disrupted by elements of the screen.
Yes, right. It's made with a high resolution, high technical camera, but it's become having more glitch like this. I made like this. The glitch is usually described as a kind of technical error, but here it's more used as a apparatus, and make kind of gap within the images. So usually we intend to think about that the image is kind of reference representation of the reality, but it's in fact that it's constructed or mediated. So that glitch, through the great glitch, I wanted to expose that kind of temporalities or insustainability of the images. Yeah, so the audience could be posed in the glitch when they see that, and then can see through. Yeah. And such a kind of glitches or kind of distortion or delays is produced by kind of
intervention in the
transmission
image.
or the kind of repetition of the digital data. Maybe could be deeply connected to our contemporary sensibilities.
Yeah, it's kind of, I always thought in front of those glitches in your work, it's kind of this idyllic landscape. It's very as I said, it keeps you at a certain distance. It doesn't let you in, and those glitches, those distortions are actually the doors that open up to a deeper layer of the work somehow. And I found out that you do it a lot in your work, because I was watching a little bit all the videos again to preparing this talk, and I saw that there is always an element in your videos that reveal the work, like people moving with cameras, or like in Syncope, you have the microphone here, like a microphone in the foreground of the video, that it's still, they keep reminding you it's a mediated image. It's not, of course, reality, but there is some post-production.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's talk about the sound, because we said it's an important element. The score for this video was made before of green screen.
Right.
It's shared with another work of you that you realized 1 year earlier than green screen. Eclipse, second, for be precise. And you also showed the two works together, like at Leo Museum, you showed the two, and also a third work.
Yeah, the earlier lavoro of future.
Yeah. We also considered to show the two works here, actually. But maybe we can show these 3 minutes of Eclipse, so it's easier to understand. So it was important to me to show you also Eclipse, because when I watched the two videos together, somehow then when I went back watching green screen, I could somehow see so much better the music that was, of course, the same in green screen as in Eclipse. And can you share with us why you put those two works together, and maybe also telling us a little bit more about this genesis of the composition?
Yeah. Actually, it's not necessary because it's the project for the signboard outdoor. So sound is not the necessary.
Right.
So in the beginning, I didn't really think about to match that sound that I borrowed from the Eclipse. The Eclipse itself, I got a inspiration from one of the Korean composer named Yoon Sang, who's actively work in Berlin in Europe, and he's suffered from the Korean divisions. And one of his pieces titled the Double Concerto, which is describe the Korean divisions as like Korean Romeo and Juliet, the 견우 and 직녀. I don't really agree that, but
it's a folk tale that he was inspired by.
Yeah, so he thought that as a kind of like Romeo and Juliet, Korean version of. So yeah, I got a like inspiration, and I referenced one of his pieces, and then with the contemporary composer, we composed new songs based on that for two instruments, which is a harp and then the North Korean 가야금.
Kayagam.
Yeah.
And the composition of Lee Sang-yoon was for harp and oboe, right? The double concerto, double concerto. And I was curious to hear more about the instruments. Can you?
Long story, but
Yeah, I know, but I was like touched by this kayagam. Do you say it right? Kayagam.
yeah, kayak.
And I kind of these two instruments together, both string instruments. And then when I watched again the green screen, I was totally catched by those notes made by plucking the strings that are kind of overlapping so perfectly with the pixels of the video. So yes, I'm very curious to know why you brought those two instruments together.
Yes, actually, the Lee Sang-yoon, who's tried to imagine and visualize that the kind of like Korean philosophy or the thinking through the Western instrument. But in these pieces, I wanted to see that the kind of like Korean situation or division situation through the instrument as well. So, and also it's not only about our like relationship or our situation. All like rely on the different countries' relationships. So that's why I choose that instruments which is reflect those situations, but also that the North Korean gayagum is quite unique, because normally it's made to play that the Korean tradition music like 5 tones, but which is renovated under the influence by Russia in the 70s.
In the North Korea.
Yeah, North Korean gayagum
Okay.
to play that Western way as well.
And the one that you have in your work is the North Korean one.
North Korean one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, it's kind of a paradox.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So the South Korean kayagam stayed traditional,
Yeah.
and the North Korean adapted to
Western way as well.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So the way of like perceiving what it's like about the Korea, North Korea, it's also totally like different. So the instrument shows a lot of like kind of relationship between the different like countries, and also the musical histories and the cultural background. So that's why I choose that one. Also, both are based in the very Asian string instruments. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I find that a lot in your work, that music is very essential. We are also hearing it from what you're telling us, but also it becomes the very subject of the work, like in Eclipse, or also like in the other piece with the two piano players. And I was wondering, that's one of the questions that I didn't ask you at lunch, but are you a musician yourself?
Yes. I'm playing theremin and an accordion,
Okay.
but it's a quite beginner.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, because I really find music again and again in such a central role, but with those metaphors, like the story of the instrument itself, Gaigan, but also Sojung Jun, this folk tale of Romeo and Juliet in Asia, which is actually a tale, if I read it right, of a princess that was playing harp, that fall in love with a cowherd that was playing the oboe, and that's why also Sojung choose those instruments, I think. And they were divided because transformed in stars and divided by the Milky Way. And so he chose to express, the composer now, this division of Korea that he suffered a lot under with this folk tale. And somehow it resonated also with your kind of approaching some topics of the present through this, also knowledge of the past. So that's also a fascinating part of your work that I found also in your last work. I do Nine-Tailed Fox.
Yeah.
And it's the last work of Sojung that she showed at the showroom in London. And this is a mythological figure of a fox with 9 tails that is very common also in other
East Asia.
in East Asia in general, right? And that's also a mythological figure again. So can you maybe tell us more about this involvement of ancient literature or oral knowledge?
Yeah. Yeah, I do use a lot of, I think. Yeah.
Or can you maybe tell us more about your last work that we are seeing, by the way, on our back now?
I do, the Nine-Tailed Fox is well known as like a trickster. Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to somehow like distort or reuse as a symbol of the kind of metaphor of the body shifting or like nomadic identities or transformation. So yeah, that's why I borrowed that idea. So my interest toward like mythologies or tradition, it's I think somehow linked to my practice or edited toward the past. Sometimes I feel that my practice is somehow similar to the anthropologists or the archaeologists. So I excavate the past and then to see that the present renewed, and then also think about that the future. It's somehow like similar or even like close to the science fiction stuff. So yeah.
I see. Yeah, well, that's actually this work. It's unbelievable. We were talking about this nine-tailed fox that as you said, it has an ambivalent meaning between a threat, like something negative, a trickster,
Yeah,
but
used
at the
to.
same time, it's also a metaphor for adaptability, so the capacity to adapt and to change, because it's a shape-shifting figure. And Sojung used this figure to tell the story of a community that migrated from the far east of Russia, right? To, well, they didn't choose to do it. They were forced to move from the far east of Russia to the central Soviet at that time.
Central Asia, yeah.
Yeah, under Stalin. And I mean, again, there is this parallel between literature, we can call it like that, and history. And this migration focus.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful, I mean, I was struck when I was reading I told you, I went into the rabbit hole of this Koryo-Saram
Right.
history, but maybe you can explain it better.
Yeah, for the pieces, I presented first in the showroom and also at the Performa Biennale last year, and also will show this weekend at the Mudam in the form of the performance. It's research based on that. My interest toward that the time of the lane, which is located in between the Asia and Europe, Eurasia. So I could find the immigrant history, Korean immigrants. They call themselves as a Koryo saram, who forced to move to the Central Asia from the East Russia. And I found the one community and collaborate with them, which is they built their like a theater to preserve the identity since then. So it means for over 100 years. So the way they preserve their literature and the cultural stuff, I'm really impressed. And then through the like sonic legacies, I made kind of like 9 chapters, opera pieces. That's what I'm presenting. Yeah.
Okay, and you said you then made a performance out of the video work, or is it a separated work? How was the relationship between video and performance? Because that's in the context of our show, it's very interesting.
Right. It's my first performative stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So it will show with the video simultaneously. And then the pieces in the piece that the polyphonic voices is a core, and then it's all like visualized through the different voices and through the different instruments such as theremin and then the pansori and also the dombra, which brings the wind of the steppes in Central Asia. So it's all like resonated through the different layers of the time.
Okay. Thank you so much again, everybody. Grazie a tutti e a tutte per essere qui, per essere venuti. And thank you, Sojung. Grazie anche a tutte le colleghe del Masi che hanno collaborato all'evento e alla mostra. Vi auguriamo buona serata e se non l'avete ancora vista, fino a metà luglio avete la possibilità di vedere K-Now.